What's going on, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas and the Pot of the Palace, back for another episode of the Hoop Hogs Video Mailbag, where we answer your Arkansas basketball-related questions. Try to do those once a day, and it's been a fun series so far. We're several weeks into this, and we got a lot more to get to, but a really good question today. So let's jump right into it. From Brian McCarley, and this is a really well thought out question. I didn't put the whole thing in here, but I am going to read the entire thing to you. He says, how much will Knox and Richmond play at the 2? I'm guessing that Wagner, Davis, and Fland eat up all the meaningful minutes at the 2 backcourt positions, which means 2 of those 3, Wagner, Davis, and Fland, will be on the court at all times. I'm all for it, by the way. See, I love this because what I think Brian is kind of a depth chart and rotation nerd, and so am I. I love crunching the minutes and trying to figure out who's going to slot where, who's going to fit in, how the minutes are going to be distributed at what position. And this is a really, really good question. And he hit on some of the factors there that are going to go into it. But there are a lot of things. I jotted down several things that are going to play into how much we could see those 2 guys at the 2. And they're both going to get their playing time, but, there's only 200 minutes to go around, right? And there's only 40 minutes at each position. So you got to do some mixing and matching. The more versatile you are, the better chance you have for an extended role on this team. So I think about the 2, the shooting guard position, and in the backcourt, I usually qualify that as point guard, shooting guard, the 1 and the 2, and then the wing, the 3, and then the front court being the 4 and the 5. If we're talking about how we're maybe breaking it down here, Nelly Davis is locked. I mean, he's going to play 30 plus minutes per game, mostly at that off guard position, but he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot as well. So yeah, like chalk up a huge portion of minutes for him, no matter what, as long as he's healthy. So then how would a guy like a Karter Knox or a Billy Richmond impact things maybe at the 2? Well, some of it depends on DJ Wagner and how healthy he is with that ankle and how much improved he is. I mean, if you get a DJ Wagner who's kind of the same version of what he was last year, then that probably warrants him, 22, 23 minutes per game. And you have a little bit more to work with. But if it's the DJ Wagner who's taken that leap from his freshman to sophomore year, and all of a sudden he's knocking down threes a little bit more consistently, you factor in his experience in the league, and you think, okay, maybe we need to bump that up a little bit. How ready is Boogie Flam? We know he's such a dynamic playmaker. He's so smooth. Apparently he's faster than Olympians out there. And I think he profiles as one of Arkansas's best 3-point shooters and table setters. Well, if that's the case, you're right. You're right, Brian. Like, you need a lot of minutes to be put in there for him as well. How do DJ Wagner and Nelly Davis play together is going to be a big question in this. And I've heard a lot of people bring that up, where they're both kind of ball dominant guards who, and not necessarily black holes in the sense that they just chuck up a bunch of shots, but they can create their own offense and score, and they have the ball in their hands to play make. They're better on the ball than maybe they are off of it. So how does that dynamic work between the 2 of them together? If it does, then yeah, you'll probably see a lot of those guys on the floor together. You might see scenarios where you have Boogie, DJ, and Nelly sharing the backcourt together if it all works out seamlessly there. If it doesn't, then you might have to mix and match a little bit more for chemistry's sake, which could be something that gets Karter or Billy more minutes at the 2. I think you also have to trickle down further on the depth chart. Frankly, how much improved is Trevin Brazil? Is it to the point where he really takes command of that starting position and is playing heavy minutes at the 4? Because if it is, that's going to mean probably more minutes for Adou Thiero at the 3, which then trickles up and means if you want to get Karter Knox and Billy Richmond plenty of minutes, then they're going to have to do more than play on the wing. Because I do think that Karter Knox and Billy Richmond profile really as the 2 wings on this roster outside of Thiero, but Thiero is so versatile. You wonder if he's better suited as a, kind of a jumbo wing or a small ball hybrid type of modern day 4-man. So how much of the piece of the pie does he take at the 3 will kind of depend, where you're going to go look for minutes for guys like Karter Knox and Billy Richmond. So if I really think about it, it's I listed off a bunch of the factors there. I haven't answered the question yet necessarily just yet. How much do I think Billy Richmond and Karter Knox are going to play at the 2? Some, not much. Like I think a vast majority of their minutes are going to come in a split on the wing at the three. I could see maybe ah, 6 to 8 minutes per game being up for grabs there at the two. And obviously, it's not a super deep backcourt, so things could change quickly if there are injuries or Nelly picks up 2 fouls by the first media timeout. You're going to have to work on some things there. But I think generally speaking, I'm kind of with you where this roster right now, it strikes me as Boogie, Nelly, and DJ, taking up a vast majority of the minutes at the 1 and the 2, with a little bit of change left over there. But I think most of the minutes for Knox and Billy Richmond are going to come at the 3. The other part of the equation is how well do those two guys shoot it? Because ideally you have a good amount of shooting at that spot. And now if you're playing a Karter Knox or a Billy Richmond at the 2, then who are you playing at the 3? Like, would you play those two guys together as freshmen there at the 2 and 3? Sure, maybe so. I don't think that's going to happen a lot. The chances are that would mean that Fierro slides up to the 3. You got Brazil at the 4, and then Adu or Z at the 5. Do you have enough shooting on the floor there? So if Karter Knox, who shot sub 30% in high school, but you can tell that there's something there with this 3-point jumper. If he's knocking down the 3 pretty consistently and it works for spacing, I could see him having the opportunity to play more at the 2. Billy Richmond, the biggest question with him has kind of been, can he shoot it consistently enough? Because we know that his defense is not really a question. He's a big time slasher, an athlete. He thrives in transition. If they have to respect him from 3 and he's a guy who can get those driving kicks from the corner and knock them down, then again, that gives him a little bit more ammo to be slid up to that 2 as well. So not much, a little bit. I think we're probably on the same page here in terms of how those minute distributions are going to work out, but I'm sure they're going to be tinkering with it a lot in practice and in the exhibitions and early on in the season as well. So it is going to be fascinating to see, but I love the depth chart, the rotation, the minutes talk, that kind of stuff is right up my alley. So really appreciate the question there from Brian. And folks, keep them coming. Like I said, we want to have one of these a day going up into the start of the college basketball season. We're I think very well on our way to doing that. I have a pinned thread on my Twitter profile at @KurtWilkerson_, where you can drop your questions in. If you watch these YouTube videos, you can hop in the comments and do that. Slide in the DMs and give me a question, send me an email, whatever you got to do to get those questions to me, and I'll make sure that I see them, and we will get to them eventually for sure. Make sure that you subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube page, because that's where we post these every single day. It has its own playlist, the Hoop Hogs Video Mailbag, and about 8 a.m., you can pretty much guarantee that we're going to have something there for you from the basketball standpoint. I know everybody's excited about the season, and it's coming up on us pretty quick, but I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys, as always, for the engagement, the interaction. It's awesome. Makes me feel good. So keep it up. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, the Pot, the Palace, and we will catch you guys tomorrow.